Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna J. Hood, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. And we're going to talk about my new book called My Big Ask. And it's about deep questions to ask yourself in order to know where you're going in life and what you're going to do to make money. Now, how do you do that? Is you ask yourself those very important questions to move you forward in life. So let's get started right now, and we can start by asking the big question to ourselves that we normally don't always do. Many years ago, I was struggling with no ideas in my life, and I had no idea where I was moving or going towards. And I decided to sit down and ask myself the deep questions. And I just decided to sit down by myself and find out whether many of the stories I was telling myself were true. So, you know how you hear stories or you hear things from people and they say to you, you are going to be this, or you look like and you talk like you're going to be that. Oh, you act like you have the words or you have the demeanor of this. And they kind of put you in the category of what they think that you are when really you don't even know and they don't even know. So I am giving you questions in this book called My Big Ask. It's a diary or it's a questionnaire really about what you need to ask yourself to move on, what you need to ask yourself, what makes me tick, what makes me passionate that I can actually make money from and I don't have to work for someone else, or make me abundant to live abundantly and I don't have to worry about anything. I can be free with time, free with, money. I can be free to do all the things that I want to do. Many of us walk around in life taking jobs, really taking jobs that we don't want, or going in directions or to school, or just doing things that we really don't want to do because they make sense at the moment because we don't know what we're doing and we don't know who we are. We get patted down with all the ideas of life, all the ideas of other people, all the ideas of things and stuff, and ugh. So we get bogged down with all those things, and we lose sight of ourselves. So in order to dig ourselves out of that, we have to purposely go in and ask ourselves those questions. So let's get started. The questions have power, and great power creates power. And by addressing deep questions to ourselves, you will get profound answers from yourself. See, a lot of times we never like to ask ourselves the questions because we don't like the answers ourselves give. But if we ask ourselves instead of telling ourselves, we get a lot of answers that we know that we hear and we kind of put off to the side. So let's get right into it about the deep questions. One of the deep questions that we have is, when was the last time that you ever told yourself that you loved yourself? Think about that while I look at my notes. Yeah, you don't know. You don't remember when the last time you looked in the mirror and said, I really truly love you. I had that epiphany years and years ago. I remember I had just gotten my hair done by my best friend who actually owns a salon and has worked for Sassoon, and she's actually was a hair cutter. I don't know what they call it, but she cut hair in Sassoon and taught other people how to do that. And she cut my hair and she dyed it this black, dark, deep black that had a blue effect when the sun hit it. It was really nice. It was a great haircut for me, sort of like Grace Jones, but with the sides filled in. It was a very, very, very amazing cut. And I was remember having I was delving into the knowing myself better and understanding myself better, because I had left the church, the religious part of it. I left that part, and I was trying to find myself because I was buried beneath a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of laws and symbols and other people's stuff, and I was lost. I was really lost within myself. So I remember looking in the mirror, and I pulled my hair back and I said, "Who am I?" And I looked really deep, and I didn't cry or anything, but I looked really deep, and something just clicked in me. So I called my nephew, who's actually a hairstylist as well. I said, "I want you to come over and give me a number one." He said, "A number one?" He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, please." So he came over, he cut my hair down really low, and he's like, "Wow, you look amazing." And it kind of freed me from where I was. And I began to look at myself. And then I undressed and had a full length mirror. And I had never, I don't remember looking at myself since I was I think a teenager. And at that moment, I was like, wow, I haven't really looked at myself since I was a teenager. So all that space and time, I never knew what I looked like. That was a very scary point in my life. And that's when I began to learn myself even more. I began to ask myself the question, am I a better person today than I was yesterday? See, we don't sit down long enough to understand or to know ourselves, because either the weight of the world or the weight of ourselves get in our way, and we're running here and one and there and we never get to understand ourselves. We never get to know what we really are about, what we really are built for. See, there's so many things people say, we're built for this, we're built for that, but we really don't know what we're built for because we never asked ourselves what we're built for. We never became really friendly with ourselves about what we are built for. So let's get back to my big ask. This is a workbook that I created to help you ask yourself those very in-depth, very deep questions only that you can answer. It's a diary of sorts that kind of guides you and gets you focused on what really is going on in your life. So let me pull out one of the questions that I did ask in the book. It says, what are my specialities, talents? And I'm gonna give you a couple seconds. Give you a couple seconds just to think about that. What are my specialities and talents? So when you say specialities, you mean like what I do without a problem. And what I do is write. I write without a problem. I can write about anything, write a letter, not a big deal. It just comes to me because it flows out of me. Your speciality is what flows out of you, and it's not hard to do. It's not a bother to do. So what is it that you specialize in? I know for me, it was writing, it was negotiating. I love negotiate and try to strategize on different ideas and put things together. I was one of those people that could put things together, pull pieces from other places and put things together and make it happen and make it work. I love singing. And it always brought me back, when singing, it brought me back to the words, because I always sang things that meant something to me. The words meant something to me. So it always brought me back to writing. I'm self-motivated. I'm social. I love dancing. But yet I don't like to be controlled. And dancing is a freedom to me. It's not something that's controlled by this step or that step or that step or this step. People may like that, but I don't. I like the freedom of just the dancing and not caring about who is watching. So what are my talents? My talents are my writing. It's my writing. My talent is being friendly. A talent is something that you can build upon to create something out of. So I narrowed mine down. I'll take, for example, writing. Okay? So that's one of the questions that's in the book, because you have to really hone into it, and you have to really know yourself in order to get that one thing. Because you got after you kind of bring it all down, it's got to come to one thing. So my favorite thing is writing. It's always been writing. So to take that one thing now, do you know what you want, but don't know how to satisfy it? Ooh, do you know what you want? Probably 80% of us would say no. We never were asked the question. We was always told what we're going to get, but we never knew what we wanted. And that's a tricky question. And, in the big ask, there's questions like that you have to come back to. Like with every test, you may have to come back to it. You may have to be reminded, what is it that what do I really want? I don't know. I don't know what it could be. So you want to answer these questions. You don't want to ever ask anybody else, because they're going to give their interpretation, their perception, and their perception is not your perception. So that's what's so great about being an individual and being your own self, because no one can see it. You can have the same exact situation, have the same exact time, same exact date, but you see it differently than the other person or the person next to you. And it's so great because you're individual. And I'm learning every day how to appreciate the individuality that I have from anyone. Like, it's not a comparative state, and I'm there. So I love that part of me. Now I'm gonna give you one more, and I think we're gonna end our part of my big ask. What were the playthings you liked to play with when you were a child? See, in order to get to your purpose, the untethered part of you was your childhood. Was that special moment that things made you happy. And perfect example is that my grandson used to get toys and everything from his parents. Um, but when he came over, he had all the toys and everything. But he loved to go in the backyard by himself and play with the sticks, the rocks, the snow, the dirt, the dog, the trees. He loves nature. Even when there's like a prick of sunshine out, when it's freezing cold, he wants to go outside. So what brought him joy, or it does bring him joy because he's only 11, is going outside, being in nature. I mean, touching the rocks, touching the dirt, touching the sticks, being out in the fresh air, feeling the air. His thing to play with is nature. And for me, I loved going outside as well. I loved just like sticking my feet in the sand and feeling it, and that would kind of calm me down. And even when I go to saunas right now, the big ones, I love just, sitting in the sand and just sitting there and just like, just relaxing. Even when I go to the beach, I stick my feet deep into the sand because I like that connection. Those are the things that we forget. When we start growing up and we're around other children, we start socializing with them, and toys and items and things become the norm. But before then, there was something else. For my oldest son, he used to love to get into boxes and play in the boxes, and then he would love to take the pots and the pans and bang on them. He loved sound. Sound made him happy. My youngest son, he always he loved singing no matter what he did. He still does he loves singing. And for my daughter, she was more of, you know, a person who loved being alone, like in silence. She liked the silence because the silence made her peaceful. And she loved the beach, but she would love just to be silent. And she loved that. So I picked up early for my children, like what things in my younger childhood that I enjoyed. These are intriguing questions that we're going to be asking ourselves in the Big Ask. And I implore you to buy the book. It is on Amazon. If you look me up, Edna J. White, you will find My Big Ask, the diary to being aligned to what you want in life. You want, if you want a great job, if you want the love of your life, if you want to build that career, if you want that house or that car, it has to align in your life, and you have to be aligned for it to come. Because what good is it to come or try to come if you don't even want it or don't even know what you want? It's like with me, last couple of years, I've been wanting to get a new car. So I like one type of car. Then, of course, as I get older, I'm thinking, oh, I can't get out of that car. And I have to remember its longevity. When you buy vehicles, you got to think about how your body's going to work with it and how it's going to be efficient in your life. And all these moving parts of buying something for yourself, you have to think about. So I remember one time when I liked this one car, a Cooper. And that's what I wanted. I put it in my mind. That's what I wanted. Put it out in the universe. Started looking at Coopers. Started seeing them. And then I was like, but I have to, longevity. And as time went on, as I was choosing cars, the Cooper kind of left away. And then in a twinkling of an eye, something else came. So I say to you about having the questions that deeply answer everything. Please get my book, My Big Ask, and I will be having a workshop that focuses on that. Look me up on Amazon. The book is available. My Big Ask. This is Edna J. White signing off, wishing you so much greatness, so much fun, so much happiness. See you soon.